them a tell say Jamaica mash up. I lie them a tell say Jamaica mash up. You want to know say I lie them a tell Solid Rock Entertainment. Them keep it real, them keep it locked, them keep it solid. Hear that?
Hey, Ashensia! I mean, so much respect goes out to the Solid Rock Entertainment with Samuel Gardner in Central Florida. Remember to keep everything solid.
Family, you're now tuning into Solid Rock Entertainment with your host on the Central Coast, Samuel Gardner. Today we have a special guest, but as I always like to say, all of our guests are special. And this is a woman, not only a woman, but a mother, a wife, and a woman that cares for her people and the health of her people. And that is none other than Miss Morica Duhaney.
Hey.
Nice to have you on the program.
Nice to be here.
Nice
Thank you for having me, Sam.
And among all those things that I just mentioned about her, she's also a very, she speaks highly on breast cancer and cancer in itself. And she's an ambassador. And we're just going to get into the mind of Morica. And we're going to start with the first question. And that is, what influenced you to start getting into, getting highly involved with breast cancer?
Well, as we talked before, Sam, that I am also a breast cancer survivor. Mm-hmm. I have 7 years. I was diagnosed back in 2010. Went through all chemotherapy, radiation therapy, and hormonal treatment. And one of the things, as I go through that process, I realized that my community and my culture are totally unaware of really the impact that cancer have in our culture and in our society.
Okay.
So that kind of prompted me now to kind of start looking at how I can get the word out, or should I say, how I can help some of us to prevent what I went through, or as a survivor, how to combat some of the issues that we face as a culture. And I'm talking about what they refer to us as African American.
Right.
We are Jamaican culturally, so we also involve in culturally Jamaicans.
Right.
And my focus mainly is to the Caribbean islands, and mainly today we're talking about the Caribbean man.
Most definitely.
Yes.
And as you said, we had a conversation where we were talking about the awareness, especially among men.
Yes.
Now, so based on the fact that I remember in the conversation we said that men don't get checked, men don't think it is important to go to the doctor and so forth. But how important do you think it is for men, and how often should they get testing and screening for cancer?
Right. Let me say this about any disease that hits our community.
Right.
African Americans, black people, have the highest death rate and the highest survival rate in when it comes on to cancer. And I'm talking about men in general.
Right.
The African American men died every year. 31%, highest racial group.
Wow.
31% of African American died from prostate cancer. Prostate cancer is very much treatable, but when you look at how we approach this cancer epidemic in our culture, we as African American, and I know this, and what I've come to understand, our men they have no idea how to even start looking or where to look, and to start saying, okay, let me check myself. So I can go down the list with you and tell you how you can go about doing that.
Wow. Now, over the years, me myself, I've realized there's an increase in the death rate because of this monstrous disease. Why do you think that is the reason for the increase?
Well, the increase has always been there, and this is one. We are oblivious to illnesses. One, we know that many, I would say, culturally, Jamaicans, island men, they're afraid to go to the doctor. We have this big distrust for doctors. Number one, let me say that. The second thing is the lifestyle that we live. We don't pay they don't pay attention to diet, smoking. They don't exercise as regularly as they should. And so those are the main factors that contribute to the African American male that he's just oblivious. He just eat, live. He doesn't pay attention to what he eats. He doesn't pay attention to his body. And so, like us women, we talk about going to the doctor. Women in general start going to the gynecologist what, age 15, 14?
That's true, yeah. Very young. Very young. You guys keep up to date
We
with
keep up to date to all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
The male species doesn't really do that.
We have to feel like we're dying
before you go to the doctor.
Right,
but
right.
it is vitally important, like any female, that you go at least once a year to see your doctor. One of your first line of defense in understanding or finding cancer is to do your self-examination. Very, very important, because that saved your life. That's what saved my life. Me, I was the one that found my cancer, and I was doing the same. It might look stupid to many, and mainly men. I was doing my own breast examination, and I found a lump. Male are required to do the same breast examination, because men do get breast cancer.
You know, so I think a lot of men, we were kind of, like you said, oblivious to that. Like, oh, it's only a woman thing.
Yeah.
You know, we don't.
And it's not.
Wow.
And here is the kicker. Most African American men, they get colon cancer. That's the highest cancer that one of the most common cancer that African American male gets. It's treatable. But by the time, most of the time, African American male gets to the doctor, his cancer is already spread, because he has not gone for screening. He has not gone to the doctor to say, okay, you wait until the symptoms start arise. You know, by the time he gets to that symptoms start showing up for colon cancer, what happens? It already spread. And so the survival rate becomes very small.
Wow. Well, men, please, you heard it from Miss Morica herself. Go ahead and get your checkups, man, because this thing is really, it's serious and it's getting bad.
It's real.
It's real.
It's real.
Now, sticking to cancer a little bit here. When it comes to, you know, with the advancement of technology, we get all kinds of videos about everything.
Yes.
And I myself have seen a lot of negative videos speaking about chemotherapy. You who have been a cancer patient and you have survived, and you know you're here today. How do you feel about the procedure of chemotherapy?
Well, I mean, chemotherapy in general, one thing we have to understand about chemotherapy is not chemotherapy is like you go to the bar and you need a mixed drink, right? A cocktail. So for everybody that gets chemotherapy, they have a different cocktail that is mixed.
Okay.
Right? So that's what we have to understand. Chemotherapy is not one shoe fit all. So depending on the type of cancer you have, and it depends also on the advanced cancer, if it's stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. So I got treated because in our culture, African Americans, when we do get cancer, is more aggressive in us than any other racial group.
Is there a specific reason for that?
Most of the medical journals will tell you, well, they don't know.
Oh, okay.
But I can throw out some things that might get us in a way how to think, because there's a huge, number one, disparity between the culture lines or the racial lines in this country and everywhere else. Because you have to remember, because we are descendants of slaves, most disease that we get is more aggressive in us because we are naturally born stress people. That's number one. We have to understand that. The second thing is, based on what the medical journal, they have not done enough research on us as a people. So most of the literature is based on Caucasian. And so when it comes down to us, we have a bigger difference between us and our Caucasian counterparts, because Caucasian don't have enough melanin like how you and I have.
Right.
Melanin plays a great part in our survival and who we are. Based on where we're supposed to be living in Africa, melanin is a protector for us.
Right.
It protects us. But when we get diseases like cancer, it doesn't do well in our bodies. But you will notice, no medical journal will say that. It will never say that.
I've never seen it.
It will never. I'm telling you. I've searched the journals. I've looked at it. Wow. But we have to know those are the two big contributing factors when it comes on to us. They will tell you, science will say, well, we can't prove it.
Right.
We don't know. But the one thing we do know is that there's not enough research done. in our culture, and so that's
Ah.
that is left up in the air.
Mm. Well, since you've been, you've been making, and thanks for all that information too, and I must say that recently, I think we as people of Africa and color, we've lately been speaking about melanin and
Yeah.
been hearing songs and
Yeah, we're embracing our melanin.
we're embracing it, so we're getting somewhere.
Yes.
Well, since you've been making people aware of this cancer, do you see any changes among the people in your community?
Not much, I must say, because I recently have an encounter. I think it was yesterday. A very, very good friend of mine, and I saw her, and we were talking, just saying hi, and she started crying. Her daughter just passed away from breast cancer. She's 35 years old, and she said to me that when they didn't know it was going to take their daughter's life. You know what I'm saying? It's breast cancer, and how most of the time when we are diagnosed with cancer, we don't take it seriously. One of the biggest advice I got from my doctor was the treatment that we're advising you. We'll take it into consideration. Yes, there are other ways to go, but the best thing is for you to stick with what your doctor recommends. Do your own research based on who you are and what they say you have. There's so much, a huge amount of literature out there that you can search, because I did that for myself, because when my doctor told me that African American cancer is more aggressive in us, I'm like, what?
Wow.
So I went and looked. I searched journal in Europe, I searched the Canadian journal, and I searched American medical journal, and they all say the same thing. It is a fact that they find that.
Now, hearing all of this, now, at the end of the day, are you optimistic enough to believe that there's a light at the end of the tunnel?
There is light at the end of the tunnel, but we have to wake up as a people. We have to wake up and start being more aware of really what's going on with us as individuals. Because I find what we normally want to do, we can go there with our talents and our gifts and we can change the world, but we're not changing who we are.
Right.
We don't put the focus on us as an individual. What can I do? Because we can go there, and this is what I don't do.
Right.
I don't start to change the world until I change who I am.
Right.
Because if I do my changes, I can tell you, say, maybe you can do this too. You understand what I'm saying? So the self-awareness, to be aware of what's going on with self, is vitally important. And this is why it's important for you to get checked for your own good. As I said, I find my own cancer. I told the doctor, listen, check me for X, Y, Z. I did that. I didn't wait for a doctor to tell me.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So there is a way for us to wake up. We all are accustomed to, as Jamaicans, Bob Marley saying, well, we must free ourselves from mental slavery. And sometimes we take that as, well, he's talking about just slavery in general.
Right.
No, he's talking about a lot of the things that we don't pay attention to as a people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
As human beings, we tend to want to look through the window all the time, but we need to look into our own houses, who we are. You know what I'm saying? And we have to wake up, because it is not just cancer that is killing us. Every single disease that is out there, anytime it hits our community, we are most likely to die from it, or the symptoms are to even recover. It is a battle, because and I have to tell you, support. We need support. Many of us don't know, even living in our local communities, where to go to ask questions, to look for help. We don't have that. We don't talk about illnesses. We look at it from a shameful point of view. When I'm sick, no one should know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When you're going through any kind of health issues, we tend to hide it, because we don't. But when you do that, you don't get information.
True.
Openly speak about things.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Because I remember when I was going through cancer, people were saying to me, put your wig on, don't walk around without your hair. And I was like, no. No. If somebody see me without hair, I'm like, yeah, I'm sick.
That's
and this is what cancer look like.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is what cancer looked like. I was 35 years old.
You found out.
Yes. Went
Very
through
young.
chemotherapy very, very young. And I will tell you, cancer is not really, is not the disease sometimes that kills us, it's the treatment.
The treatment.
Treatment.
So that kind of stems back to the question I was asking about chemotherapy.
Yes, it's a treatment.
So this might be a little bit dry,
Yeah.
but does it work?
It
or no?
works. I'm going to tell you, it works. But as I said initially, the chemotherapy, it depends on the type of cancer. If you follow your doctor's instruction, you know what I'm saying? But it works. But as we notice now, technology and medical advancement has gotten better. So nowadays, not everybody gets treated with that harsh type of chemotherapy like I was almost 7 years ago. So there's different variation now today, way better than chemotherapy that they find that are so much better. Because when you take, like, the type of chemotherapy I got, they had one of the main ingredients called adriamycin. That ingredient is actually comes from one of the poisonous gas when they use it in World War II.
Wow.
So when you take adriamycin, it kills every bit of your good cells that are inside. So the body now has to struggle to come back, you know, as God intended it to be. You know, because chemotherapy kill all your good cells. Everything it kills, it destroys everything. In order to kill those cancer cells, it destroys everything. So for some, they will say, no, I wouldn't take chemotherapy. But for me, I am happy I did. I must say that. Because cancer is no joke. I'd rather take the chemotherapy than die.
Right. No, I mean, but what do you think about people that'll say things like, you know, okay, because I'll say this. Speaking on the black community, one of the things about the black community, some of the people in the black community is that we feel as if, some of us feel as if we can't trust our doctors and so forth. So we would rather use our own remedy and go natural.
Big mistake.
Big mistake.
Big mistake. Don't ever buy into that. And I do understand the fear of trusting doctors because you do have some doctors out there. That's why when I was diagnosed, I didn't take one doctor's advice. I looked for 3 doctors and said, this is what is going on. What do you think? You understand what I'm saying? So do your research. Do not just take one doctor says X, Y, Z.
Right.
Find another doctor or 2 other doctors to get their advice and what they think. And ask question. You know, look at yourself, ask the question, what should I do? How do I go about this? And just don't take one person's advice. You know what I'm saying? So you have to learn how to ask questions. You are the patient. Sometimes doctors don't know you. You have to tell them what's going on with you. You're your first doctor. You have to know that. You are your first doctor. You know what your symptoms are. You know what your feelings are. You know what your culture is, what it dictates. You have to now break that barrier of distrust. Your life is on the line. You understand what I'm saying? So don't sit there and twiddle your thumb and go to the health food store and buy something that they say will cure cancer. It doesn't work like that.
Now, how do you feel about when you go, say you go to the doctor? One of the first things they ask you when they're about to do a procedure or whatever, they ask you about your ancestry. Did such and such have this? Did your dad have this? Did your mom have this? Whatever. No, do you think that's a proper way of diagnosing someone with something?
Yes, because family history plays a very important role.
It does.
Yes, in most of our health issues. Our ancestors play a vital role, especially us from African descent. There is not much done on our behalf in terms of the medical advancement. Not much. So it is vitally important if we learn really what our family history is. You know what I'm saying? We as a culture, we can talk about Jamaicans. And many of us not accustomed to going to the doctor. So when our ancestors, like when my grandmother died, we don't know if she died from a stroke or a heart attack. There was no autopsy done. So when the question is asked, is there any art history in your family? I'm like, I can't answer that. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes these things are vitally important. When the doctor asks you, we need to know these things. We do need to know these. As best as we can. We can't find all of it, but as best as we can. We need to know.
Okay. I mean, that's fair enough. It's just because some will say that, how can you don't go out for what, you can't, because I am who I am, so what my dad had or what my mom had has nothing to do with me. I am me, so, but
That's that. I would call it. That's kind of crazy to think.
Crazy thing.
Yeah,
You know?
we live in a society that we now know that we are not made up of just one aspect of our parents,
True.
or
True.
we are made up of so many different aspects. We
True.
look a certain way,
True.
but DNA prove otherwise.
True.
So we have to stop that kind of
It's kind of crazy.
It's kind
yeah.
of crazy. We can't think that way anymore.
Now, where can folks go to find more information and gain more knowledge on this subject?
Well, we always know that October is breast cancer awareness.
Right.
We are technology savvy, but local here in Brevard County, we have local like the Brevard Cancer Center. They are.
Oh, sorry, Coach.
Sorry.
We're here on site in Melbourne.
I'm so sorry.
We got so caught up in the knowledge of this thing, but yes, Solid Rock is on site in Melbourne, Florida, and so we're going to talk about now where can, especially those in the black community in Melbourne, Florida, and in Brevard County, where can we go and access the information towards this?
So we have, as I was saying, the Cancer Center of Brevard. They are a local chapter, and they provide needs like, for instance, they were one of the people that came to my aid when I had cancer, and and we also have the Brevard Health Alliance, and so these are a coalition of doctors and specialists. They would offer their services. So I get my chemotherapy. I didn't have health insurance at the time. So I was able to get chemotherapy, all my treatments, all my doctor visits for free. Because what Brevard Cancer Center does, they step in and they pay for your treatment.
Okay.
They also, which is awesome.
Yeah.
They also, if you can't pay your rent, if you can't pay your mortgage, they will do that while you're recuperating. So you have all these, and they do have, some of them, they have support group that you can attend while going through. These are the things that you want to know. You know, where can I go to get financial help, to get support, as I talked about before? And this is where you can go and find, even the Brevard Health Department, they do small little classes every year showing male and female how to find lumps in their breasts. They also offer screening. Brevard Health Alliance does it also. So these are little places that you can go and you can find, if you're looking for any information. They have websites, just the same.
And it's free.
And they're free.
Wow, there's no excuse then.
There's no excuse. You walk into the Brevard Cancer Center, they have one on Malabar Road.
Okay.
Yeah, they have one next to Holmes Regional Hospital right around the corner.
Okay.
So, and if you don't know, type in Brevard Cancer and it'll pop up.
That's
And
true.
so you search for it and you walk in and they're very, very happy to give you all. They will tell you, women who have not gotten mammogram, they have people come in and screen every day. They have the buses that goes around and screen you for, yes, they have a whole bunch of stuff that we can use, but if we don't know where to go, that's one of the things. One of the here is what the kicker is for me in our community. As Caribbean descent, we are more focused on the entertainment side. Most of what we do is entertainment. The resources that we have here in Brevard County is always about having fun, having festivals and entertainment. We are not giving out information to save each other's life. You know, when we do that, and that's not only it too, Sam, when we do send out invites, because I used to do my breast cancer awareness, my breast cancer awareness fundraiser, and I will tell you, I could count on one hand how many Jamaicans shows up, or how many black people show up. My support entirely, 95% of them are Caucasian people. Yeah.
So I guess we're really not taking it serious.
No. And how we go about doing it, we started saying we're dancing for cancer, because everybody run, walk, ride for cancer. We said we're going to dance. So we did African drum and dance. We did every kind of genre of dancing. And while educating, no one showed up.
Wow. Even though you've drawn a little entertainment into it.
It's very hard to educate us, Sam. It's a very, very tough thing to educate the black man or the black community.
That's why I asked you earlier if you think there's any light at the end of the tunnel.
I'm hoping. I keep hope alive still.
Right.
But as far as my own eyes can see, I have not seen it yet. I haven't seen it. And it's one of the hopes that I have, that I would love to see us as a community step up and kind of be more aware and educate each other on these vitally important life-saving
Right.
issues.
You know, and I, you know, me personally, I usually, you know, interview artists and stuff like that, but I believe that anything that can save lives and change lives should also have a platform.
It should.
And hopefully this reach out to many that can, it can change their lives and have them think in a different way. Now, Miss Morica, what is current and what is next for you?
Well, I'm still trying to put the word out there in terms of us being more self-aware. So I come up with a program, how we go about doing that, and I do hold them locally.
Okay.
It could be at a restaurant, it could be at somebody's home. I will physically come in, a group of friends, 2 or 3 people, if you're available, give you the resources, any kind of resources that you need. But I'm mainly focusing on getting our community aware of who we are and
Right.
how much vitally important we are as a human being.
Most
And we don't put value on ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We just wake up and think we don't have this value. And so for me, young, old, in between, my mission until the day I leave this earth is to wake us up consciously, to wake up our brain that has been unconscious for a while. And I have come up with this specific program, how I go about doing that. And during that program, there's also the same thing you and I talk about. I talk about how to be self-aware
Right.
of who you are, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And then I also give you resources, and just leave the sessions or the class without leaving with something vitally important or a brand new take on who you are. And so, as somebody who survived cancer, I think we need a whole balance. We just don't need one aspect of who we are.
Right.
We need to be balanced.
You know, as you're saying all of this, I'm thinking that in order, maybe, this is just a suggestion or thought, in order for especially the African American and those of us within the Caribbean community, maybe in order for us to start seeing the importance of seeking deeper into our health, maybe we might need some self-healing first.
Yes, I believe that.
You know.
I believe if we are one of the most, I would say sick. We're very ill internally.
Right.
We didn't choose.
Not just physically.
No, internally, our emotional and mental state. We're very ill. Because as you and I always talk, Sam, we're not aware how much of this our descendant, as we are a slave, how much it affects us.
Right.
How much is very much a part of who we are. And until we address some of those parts, we are still going to be getting up, as Bob says, stay in that slavery mentality.
Right.
And we have not rise up from that. And this is one of the things that us as a people are not aware. We come here and we fall through the cracks. Things happened.
Right.
And we don't pay much attention. We just brush it off and we keep going. As you know, if we're talking about so-called slavery, that it did not just pass. After 400 of oppression, what do you think's happened to us? 400 years of oppression. Something must carry on.
It's true.
We can't just brush that off as it never happened.
And 400 years away, how things are. It's not too long ago either.
Not too long ago. You know what I'm saying? So we keep passing on this revolving door to our children and not waking up. There's no better time in the world or in America right now than to be a black person.
Most definitely.
We have to know that. Don't wear it like, we don't understand.
There's too much truth being revealed. Especially in this modern age of technology. Too much information.
Too much information.
If you don't know who you are right now, you better get on the shit.
You gotta catch up now. You have to catch up because it's important for us. As a people, they say black is in.
So do you have any social media platform where one can go and check out your group, your dancing group and all these things?
Not right at the moment because as I said, it's in the process.
Okay.
I'm doing what I call my focus groups now.
Okay.
And until my focus groups I've completed it, I'm not going to be social media yet.
Okay.
So right now I'm focusing on the most important thing, which is having people on a personal level and put in the program to work and see how it works and what I can tweak and what I So once I'm done with my focus group, which is I'm in my almost a year now of doing these sessions. As I talked to you, I'll be in London for a week, doing some more training with some young people in a college up there. So when I come back, I'll have a lot more information and a lot more different aspect of the program itself that I want to launch out before I hit social media. Because once you hit social media, it's a different platform. You know, so I want to be ready. I want to be ready for what I'm about to launch. You understand? And so that's what I'm doing. But as you talk about it, I want to be more of a instrument or a tool that one can always say, well, I learned this, or this was beneficial to me. So even if I'm launching my personal groups, I do small groups, and I like the smaller groups. I'm not doing huge group yet. I have small groups that I focus on, and I think people benefit more from that setting. People are more relaxed. They are more open to discussing really what their issues are, and so I like that. And if I'm gonna launch out into huge groups, maybe I have to take a different format. But for now, I'm mainly focused with smaller groups, and that keeps me in a consistent form. I like the consistency, and I like the feedback that I get because I'm really impacting people's life in that respect. So for me, it's time, and I like time because it does.
It does everything.
It does everything. It plays a huge part.
Well, I'm sure you're going to do well in your endeavors, and I'm glad that you're actually going to be going to the UK.
Yes.
And spread the word there, and that's another part of the world where your message will reach.
Yes.
And so we'll keep in touch, and whatever level you get to, I'll highlight it and continue to keep people informed on what Morica is doing, because it's very important.
It's highly important, and thank you so much for having me, Sam, and kind of shed light on this issues that we're having in our communities that we don't really pay any attention to. We feel as though it's nothing. It doesn't affect me. It affects everybody else, but it doesn't affect me. And we have to change that mentality. I say, if it affects you, it affects me. We have this saying that I am my brother's keeper. Well, I changed that. I am you.
Yeah.
I am no longer your keeper. I am you.
We're all family.
We're family. We are in the yes.
Like it says, one race, and it's a human
race. So I'm you.
And I use a little what you said terminology now, where I would say
mantra.
Someone who's like, for instance, you said what I do don't affect you, right?
Right.
But when a man smokes a cigarette, you don't smoke a cigarette, but that smoke will affect you through secondhand smoking.
True. And it has devastating effect more on me
than the person that's smoking.
Yes.
So whatever we do, it does reflect on everybody else.
It does. We have to change that. When we said I am my brother's keeper, that is not true. Let's change it. I am you.
Yes.
What affects you affects me.
Most definitely.
Yeah, and that's what. And I have to say this to Sam. When I was going through cancer, my community, my village came. My village, my Jamaican, my Barbados, all those people that were around me, they play a huge part in my healing process.
Of course, man.
You understand? So we need that village. The village here in America, it doesn't exist, because we come and we lock our doors and we drive our beautiful cars, and we carry the women, we carry our name brand purses, and it's all of that. But one thing I do know, when you get back to basic, like somebody like me that was sick in my community, I have everybody down to the teachers at my kids' school. They were able to make me dinner, drop off dinner, because I was unable to cook. The organization that I go to for worship, all those people that I worship with, they step in every evening. Somebody bring me something to eat. Right. That's the village that we need.
That's what's important. And
that is what is important. We can't no longer we come here in America and we adapt the system of closing our doors and minding our own business.
Becoming so materialistic.
We're very materialistic, and we forget really where we're coming from. We come in Jamaica. We have the village now.
Right.
See, the village never died in Jamaica. I'm telling you.
Until this day.
And it has not died. We will say, "Oh, Miss Mary, she fast," or "Miss Mary, she knows it," but she watching your back though.
Most definitely.
She watching you. Anything happens, she knows. We need that. We need it. Thank you so much for having me, Sam.
It's a pleasure having you on the show.
Yeah.
And congratulations on beating.
Thank you.
On beating that thing. And hopefully that will be an influence to many others around you to see that you can overcome.
Yes.
So keep doing what you're doing, and we'll keep a watch on what you're doing.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
No
All
problem.
right.
Solid Rock Entertainment, that was Miss Morica Duhaney. And like I said, everybody get yourself checked, get yourself screened, be healthy, health before wealth. Health is wealth, I should say, as I always say. And that's it for now. Solid Rock tuning out.